So we're coming to a close, or at least an indefinite pause, to the critical race theory series that I started on this channel a couple months ago. The reason is I said that this series was going to continue until I have a why. That's the key question, the question that was at the center of this whole exploration. And over the weeks, I've watched a lot of debates between people with varying degrees of knowledge as to what critical race theory actually is. And I feel that combined with the research that I have done on my own, I have a good enough semblance of why to, at least for now, just put this series on hold. I said that I was going to do more effort off screen to like really integrate the knowledge. I think I have enough to at least present you what my understanding of critical race theory is. Now, the thing to understand right away is that it is very difficult to talk about critical race theory without talking about a broader methodology, which is intersectionality, as it is properly called. I hate that term. I call it intersectionalism. So if you hear me using that term, that's what I'm talking about. So the key thing to understand is that intersectionality is really a series of lenses with which you can view the world. So it's kind of it's like a big bag of lenses, and other terms for this school of thought or this methodology would be identity politics, or described less charitably, SJW shit. So out of these, intersectionality is really the practice of looking at a situation using different lenses. The three of the popular ones are on screen right now: race, gender, and sexual orientation. Those are just three to pick a few. Now, what CRT is just a way to manipulate these lenses. So let's start with critical theory, which actually, from what I've seen and from what I've heard, it does have roots in like the Frankfurt School and, postmodern neo-Marxism and everything like that. But the problem that the founders of critical race theory had was that critical theory, of all the lenses that you can have in this big bag over here, critical theory put too much emphasis on class and put a more relaxed emphasis on race and everything else. And what critical race theory is, at its core, is a reaction to that, where you put race as the big lens, and everything else is ideally not ignored when relevant, but it kind of takes a back seat. So that's really what critical race theory is. It is a framework of legal analysis that is it just serves to put an emphasis on race that had not been there before, according to like the scholars that founded it. And that's really it. Now, of course, in the discourse that is taking place right now, this isn't what it is at all. And I think that the way that the discourse has devolved, for the most part, around CRT is illustrated by this. You see, there is value in being able to look at the world from a perspective. You could replace that magnifying glass with a group of them, with the initial bag that was in the first slide. However, the problems arise when looking at the world from this perspective turns into an ideology. And I think this is where the perversion comes into place, because it's I can understand where someone who's focusing on the ideology that has derived from it, like the, white fragility, anti-racist, like be less white, the kind of shit that's like really popular in the mainstream. What has made its way into the classrooms are derived from ideologies and not necessarily the initial framework, which was just a way to look at the world, to possibly arrive to explanations behind social phenomena, because all of this is soft science, right? But the notion that the notion that white people need to be less white, as was seen on that viral Coke slide or whatever, that comes from the ideology here, not from the legal framework. That's really all that that critical race theory means to me and to people who are having the discourse on it. So CRT is too focused on a univariable view as opposed to multivariable analysis of social issues. Let's remove the adverb to. So CRT is focused on a univariable view, or at least it takes that one variable and turns up the volume, because the whole problem, as far as the founders are concerned, is just that class was the univariable thing that was taking too much room for them. So their reaction, again, based on my little understanding, was to, if you're going to put an emphasis on it, we're going to choose ours. That's kind of the thing. It's not that the other lenses go away, or at least I would argue when it's done right, I don't think you ignore them, but you just put more emphasis on it. Like an example that I bring up a lot, which is Oprah Winfrey. The notion that Oprah Winfrey is oppressed because she's a black woman is kind of nuts, because like she's an institution, she's mega wealthy, she's a household name. However, if you were to compare Oprah Winfrey to some straight white cis white dude who's as rich as her, as influence, who has as much influence as she does, and that kind of thing, then compared to that guy, maybe I'm sure Oprah does deal with shit that he wouldn't have to deal with, and I think she's still all right, at least now, but it's just I guess it's just an issue of, how do you dial the knobs, the different knobs that you're using in your intersectional analysis of different situations. And as a matter of fact, a critique that I hear a lot on the left is when people put so much emphasis on class that they get called a class reductionist, which apparently isn't a good thing on the left, but it's really that it all boils down to class for you. And lefties don't like that. In general, who am I to say? The left is not a monolith. So I would assume that if it all boils down to race, you're going to be just as insufferable to people who understand that, like, intersectionalism is a bag of lenses. Like, you can hold some lenses closer to your heart, but you can't just ditch all of the others. They're there. Gender and class and mental disability and things like that. They're still there, So before I wrap up, I just want to shout out a particular debate that I saw recently. This debate happened between actual justice warrior and SJWDebates, who used to be known as Jangles the Science Lad. I would say that that debate did a really good job of I'm not even sure I would call it a debate. That conversation, I think, provides a lot of insight because Actual Justice Warrior, he strikes me as someone who has familiarized himself with the key material in critical race theory. And on the flip side, his criticisms of it that according to him, it rejects objective truth and puts too much emphasis on personal anecdotes. That's one of a critique that he brings up a lot. And I found it interesting in his conversation with Jangles that, you know, of the people on BreadTube, Jangles isn't exactly my cup of tea, but I have a lot of respect for his ability to construct an argument. He seems to be knowledgeable about the things that he talks about in the most part, which is why I was looking forward to watching that conversation to begin with. But during that conversation, he did a very good job of pointing out, like Actual Justice Warrior would mention things like, critical race theory is fun and all at its core, but it puts too much emphasis on personal anecdotes. And then later on in the conversation, he would talk about some other way in which CRT is bad or whatever. And then Jangles would calmly say, it's really interesting how you used a personal anecdote there to illustrate that. And these really... And you could tell that it wasn't from a place of dunking on it. It was really a place of pointing out, like, hey, that thing that you criticized CRT for, you just did it just now. So yeah, I would definitely recommend watching that if I were to leave you with just one other thing. Obviously, this is just the end for now of this series. If I have like a major bombshell breakthrough, I will definitely share it with y'all. I hope that this series was valuable to you. And yeah, if you like it, please give it a thumbs up. Questions, comments, observations are always welcome in the comments below. And I would really hope to see you here on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. You take care. I'll see you soon.